I'm Dr. Jeff Kieliszewski. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So the term narcissist is thrown around a lot these days, and you'll hear a lot of people talk about my ex is a narcissist, and sometimes you'll hear people talk about the diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. To be questioned, is President Trump a narcissistic personality disorder? Do certain celebrities have narcissistic personality disorder? And it seems that lately there's been a lot of murder cases that are getting a lot of media attention where there's talk about how the murderer is a narcissist. Now, we were just discussing this recently when I was on the podcast Crime Stories with Nancy Grace about how many of these cases that we discuss on her show where there are narcissistic types that are accused of murder. Now, on the podcast, I actually mentioned, boy, I should do a YouTube video on this, narcissistic personalities and murder, and that's what I'm doing today. Now, does having narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic personality characteristics put you at higher risk to be a murderer? Well, let's spend some time talking about what we mean by narcissistic personality. So, a lot of time when we talk about and think about narcissistic personality, we think about this notion of self-love and that the person is in love with themselves. Now, this happens in females, but for our discussion today, we're going to focus on males because according to the research, narcissistic personality disorder is more prevalent in males, and males commit more murders than females. But from a clinical perspective, narcissistic personality is much more than just this idea of self-love. Narcissistic personality disorders are not really, it's not really based on this idea of this strong self-love. It is more that this person is in love with the idealized, grandiose image of themselves. And the theory is that this is developed at a young age to help cover feelings of insecurity. You may see more frequency of developing narcissistic personality disorder if there's a lot of emotional and verbal abuse in childhood, for example. So, trying to keep up and protect this idealized, grandiose image of oneself takes a lot of work. And this involves attitudes that frequently manifest in dysfunctional behaviors. Now, individuals with narcissistic personalities often hold these attitudes of grandiosity. I'm special and different from others. I'm smarter. I'm amazing. People are lucky to have me around. They often feel that they're unique and that they deserve a higher social status, or they deserve to be around people of higher social status. With narcissistic personality, there's also this preoccupation with and fantasies of success and power. These people exaggerate or hold an exaggerated perception of their accomplishments and their attributes. Now, narcissists require excessive admiration from others. They want to be the center of attention. They feel like they deserve to be showered with praise and admiration from others. Narcissistic personality disorders tend to be interpersonally exploitive. They'll use people to meet their own needs. Many times they're only focused on their own needs. And oftentimes they don't even recognize the needs of others. They tend to be extremely self-centered, and they tend to lack empathy. Narcissistic personality disorders are also easily envious of others, and they often feel threatened when others are successful or others are getting the attention that they feel they deserve. Narcissistic personalities also tend to be arrogant and domineering. They feel entitled. They feel they deserve to be recognized and treated special by others. Again, narcissistic personalities are very dependent on external sources of validation that fits with their dysfunctional attitudes I just described above. Now, when this external validation is not met, that's when these people in their life are not behaving towards them in ways that fit with the dysfunctional attitudes and schemas I described before, they may act out. They may act out in ways that can involve aggression, violence, or even murder. Now, when narcissistic personality characteristics are intense and pervasive, and they cause difficulty in one's life across different settings, they can meet the threshold for what we call narcissistic personality disorder. So, the research that looked at narcissistic personality disorder and violence indicates that most people with narcissistic personality disorder are not violent. And now, personality disorders tend to be quite good at more subtle manipulation, and personality disorders are also very good at collecting people that fit with their pathology or quickly casting those aside who don't. Now, the research also shows that narcissistic personality disorder does present with a higher risk for violence as compared to people who do not have narcissistic personality disorder. And when there's antisocial personality disorder or antisocial personality characteristics in the mix, and these could be like anti-authoritarian attitudes, frequent use of deceit, pervasive aggression, irresponsibility, these antisocial features, this increases the risk for violence immensely. This type of person with that combination of narcissistic features and antisocial features is often called a malignant narcissist in the research. Now, obviously, if we have some psychopathy present, this person does not connect human to human with others like most people, they're a psychopath. That obviously is a recipe for a higher risk for violence as well. But a lot of the murder cases we see covered in true crime media, and most of the cases that I've been asked to talk about on podcasts or television or true crime YouTube channels, are not murderers who are malignant narcissists. These are not antisocial types. Many of them are not psychopaths. Now, these narcissistic personalities frequently that we talk about in the murder cases, oftentimes they are accused of murdering a spouse or a partner, right? Now, how many stories or programs have you seen, or how many high-profile cases have you read about that are about a narcissistic husband who's accused of murdering his wife? Now, I've seen a lot of people with narcissistic personalities who've been violent, and I've seen quite a few people with narcissistic personalities who were murderers. And obviously, I've talked a lot about these cases on media outlets. So what's going on here? Why do narcissists murder? So here's what I've seen. So like I said before, keeping this interpersonal world full of people that support and fall in with your narcissistic dysfunctional thought schemas and give you external validation can be a lot of work. And narcissists are often fragile in the sense that when this high level of external validation is not there, they're unhappy, very unhappy. They depend on this for their own psychological and emotional sustenance. Now, when someone in their collection of people falls away from the purpose, providing that external validation, the narcissist sort of has a psychological panic. And that panic often leads to aggressiveness. Now, when other attempts at manipulation or even using some aggressiveness does not work in getting this person back in line, the narcissist does not know what to do, and they may resort to extreme behavior, sometimes even murder. The narcissists that I have seen who have murdered often feel trapped. They're trapped in a relationship where the other person is not giving them the external validation they need or feel they deserve. But also in the narcissist mind, there's a threat to all the other external sources of validation as well. So we see a lot of murder cases of the narcissist who murders his wife, for example, while going through a divorce. Well, I can tell you, it's almost always seems to happen that the wife is the one who filed for divorce. Or when we see the narcissist who murders his wife when they're not separated or going through a divorce. Oftentimes he simply does not know how to get out of this situation without losing external validation, particularly that system of external validation that may be built in to that lifestyle of being married or who he's married to. Now, if you notice, when there's a murder and there's accusations that the husband is the murderer and he's a narcissist, they tend to jump up and sort of thrive from the sympathy and attention that they get from others. They're the first ones in front of the camera playing it up. Now, it's really interesting to talk to a narcissist who murders. They're frequently surprised they got caught. They frequently think they can outsmart the police. but they can't. They tend to make arrogant mistakes. In some cases, the mistakes they make are outright foolish, and then they tell BS stories to try to cover themselves. Remarkable and sometimes foolish stories that they just expect that everyone would believe because it's coming from them. So it's the fragility of the narcissist and the threat to his entire system of external validation coming down that often puts them into this psychological panic and a state where they sort of feel like they have to resort to extreme behaviors, sometimes even murder. All right, if you're interested in forensic psychology, please subscribe to this channel. And also pass this channel on to others. I'm on other social media outlets, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Everything is under Dr. Jeff Kieliszewski, forensic psychologist. Thanks.